Yeah, that's the kind of guy you're getting elected here. Just average Joe like everyone else around here. What I say I mean, and what I mean I say. We just don't play games here. So when I make these pledges here, my word is my bond. And anyone in the military, knows the sort of officers you serve for, that when they say something, they're going to get it done. On the other side, of course, you're seeing a lot of ads. And the Democrats are really worried about Pennsylvania. If they thought Pennsylvania was in the bag, they would not be throwing $30 million into my opponent's race. This is what they're not used to. Potter County is going to make the difference, and I think Potter County is going to have the last word on 8 November. What do you think? Yeah. But they're terrified of this movement here because the Democrats understand that the Republicans, at the national committees, that the victory in 2024 goes through Pennsylvania. They know everything's at stake here. So my goal for Pennsylvania is to bring some common sense to our state. So on day one, woke is broke in our state. We're going to end it. On day one, there'll be no more teaching our kids to hate each other based off their skin tone, which we got nothing to say about. So critical race theory is over on day one. On day one, no more boys on the girls' team. Follow the science. We're going to defend our women athletes and stand with them. On day one, we're going to stand for safety in the schools. No more boys in the girls' bathrooms. Pronoun confusion will end in elementary schools. No more. What's your pronoun would you like today? That's over on day one. No. Follow the science. No sexualization, no graphic porn in elementary schools. I mean, all this stuff is just so common sense. It's you know what? And I'll be signing into law this beautiful piece of legislation, which is currently mine, but some other senator will have to take it up, which empowers parental rights. That I even have to introduce a bill to strengthen parental rights. Shows you how low we've gone under Wolf and Shapiro. We need to draw that line in the sand, and you go no further. And in fact, we're done defending land. We're going to retake our freedoms in Pennsylvania. My goal is to make Pennsylvania the Florida of the North. What do you think? This part of the state, my goal is that we're going to do some things here to boom your economy, and it's all hinged upon opening up our energy sector. On day one, we're going to drill and dig like we've never done before. On day one, we're going to be a law and order state. We're going to have the backs of our men and women in uniform. Our law enforcement will know that Mastriano is looking out for them. There's a little bit of time, and we can go into details. If you want details, it's on my page. Yes, I'll be coming in with a lot of executive orders on day one, but I will codify these in law with the General Assembly. So it's imperative that we re-elect the Republican House and Senate. And so I can make sure these laws are, put on the books here. So after 8 years of Mastriano, these stay in place, right? So that's how we do it. So I won't be ruling by edict, but I do need to come in hard and fast so we set a new tone and culture in Pennsylvania. It changes instantly on day one, and then we codify it constitutionally into law. Just so you know, for those who are strict constitutionalists here, so am I. On day one, we'll no longer be a sanctuary state. Yep. Probably 90% of us here are descended from immigrants, and immigrants are welcome to our country. We have a legal way to do that. Illegals are not immigrants. Illegals are illegals. So Joe Biden thinks he's going to fly in those ghost flights, as he has been, with plane loads of undocumented individuals who've not been vetted or been vaccinated. Interesting. Only we have to get vaccinated. We'll have, as they pile onto the buses to be transported into the ether, into the countryside, we don't know where they're ending up. We'll have the beautiful Pennsylvania State Police there to escort those buses down to Delaware to Joe Biden's house. The first 100 days we're going to roll back regulations right now, and business owners know, but we all pay for it, whether you own a business or not. We have 153,000 state regulations. My goal is the first 100 days to get underneath 100,000. We're going to do it too, by the way. Yep. When those bureaucrats come up from Harrisburg and they repeat the most scary words spoken in English language that Ronald Reagan warned us about in the 80s, I'm from the government and I'm here to help. They will be less powerful and less able to help you, quote unquote. I'll be fighting like heck for school choice, and I believe the money should go with the kids, not to the system. Our good friend Representative Clint Owlett actually has a bill in the House that I look forward to signing law. It's an Arizona type of school choice. And finally, election reform. We got a long way to go on that. We'll be starting with voter ID. And there's a lot more behind that. Go to my page. You can track everything that I have in mind for voting integrity. You know, my heart is broken and this is not hyperbole media. It's true. I've seen more secure elections under the eyes of an international coalition in Afghanistan than in Pennsylvania. It's true. It's true. See me for details. Afghanistan, we require voter ID, by the way. I thought that was racist in Pennsylvania. And we required, ID for the Pashtun, for the Tajiks, for the Hazaras, for the others, the Kazakhs and the Mongols and the others. Then no one cried about that. They go, yeah, of course you need to have an ID. So we'll start with voter ID and then move on down to ensuring that everyone has an equal vote. Whether you're in Potter County or Philadelphia, your voice should be the same, right? Yeah. So Pennsylvania, we have a special place in the history of our nation, and I believe in God's heart as well, because we're founded by somebody who was persecuted for his Christian faith. His name was William Penn. And he ended up in jail several times for his faith, belonged to the wrong church, didn't have the right political ideas. And even on his second imprisonment, King Charles II, wanted to let William go as a favor to William's dad, Admiral Penn, who helped beat back the Dutch during the Anglo-Dutch War. And said, William, I'll let you out of jail early at the Tower of London. Just don't talk about Jesus and join the right church and tone down your political discussion a little bit. And you know what he said? I'd rather die in jail first. Wow. A very humble, not antagonistic kind of guy. Very humble Quaker. And it says in Matthew, if you're faithful in small things, you'll be put in charge of big things, right? In the parable of the talent. Check it out. Let me talk about my opponent real quick here. Going to be rapid fire. So he's the Attorney General. He's got 6 years of a record to run on, and him and his pals in the media can't talk about it because he'll lose. Crime on his watch. He's a senior law enforcement official of the state. He owns it. And in the Army, basically, after the first 100 days, you're responsible for everything good or bad that came out of your unit, right? It's the same in any job as well. You own it after a couple months. Josh Shapiro, 6 years, he owns crime in Pennsylvania. It's gone up 40% since he's been the Attorney General. That statistic alone here disqualifies him from governor. What do you think? On track to have a record homicide rate in Philadelphia when, for example, I deal with facts. It's not hyperbole and statements and assertions. When Josh came in 2016, there was 277 homicides in Philly. Now we're pushing 600 annually. According to one article I read out of the Southeast, the gravediggers can't keep up with the dead. Mostly 16 to 18-year-old kids, mostly innocents caught in the crossfire, or some people who just made a bad decision, took a turn. Josh Shapiro's watch were the 12th highest in homicides in the nation, 8th highest in homicide in overdoses, 4th highest in fentanyl deaths. This community knows about that. And what has Josh Shapiro done trying to stop it? Hasn't lifted a finger. Stood aside, not having the backs of our law enforcement. I mean, it's disgusting. Doesn't care about the sex trafficking going on in our state. All these things really anger me, but that gets under my skin. Rebbe helped a young lady in Chambersburg that was locked up in the basement 2 years. Kidnapped in her country, brought here, and assaulted for 2 years. We're going to create a sex trafficking task force in Pennsylvania, and that task force, we're going to destroy them. We're going to go to war against sex traffickers. We're going to crush them off. And we will. By God, we will. Josh Shapiro thinks it's okay for men to dominate female sports. It's a strange day in Pennsylvania on the floor of the Senate when we're trying to pass this bill to keep boys off the girls' team. I mean, what kind of madness is set in? These are indeed the days where they're calling good evil and evil good. Ripping away 50 years of female achievements and giving it to guys, setting records. I'm no kidding. Ripping away female athletes' opportunities. And there I am on the floor of the Senate, and we need to stop male domination of female sports and patriarchal domination of female sports. I was like, man, I sound like a radical feminist. I stopped in the middle of my speech, looked over to the Democrats. It's exasperating. I'm like, where are the feminists? And they weren't there. It's us. We have to stand for the women now. Because it's not okay for boys to be on the girls' team. It's not okay for boys to be in the girls' bathroom. Josh Shapiro fought hard to make that happen in Pennsylvania, and he wasn't content that he got it to happen in our state, but he also sued Virginia. He went against every parent in Pennsylvania and every parent in Virginia. This time last year, he filed an amicus lawsuit with Virginia to let the boys in the girls' bathrooms. This time last year, remember what happened in Virginia? Loudoun County? It's going to happen. A yet beautiful young lady was raped. Should have never happened. And Josh Shapiro was behind that. He supported it. It's a fact. Facts are stubborn things, as John Adams said, our second president. Then the school board in Loudoun County went about to cover it up. Her dad found out about the cover-up and was a little upset. They went to the school board meeting and they hauled him out in handcuffs. Are you kidding me? That's life, going to be life in Pennsylvania, Josh Shapiro. He's too dangerous and too radical for our state. What do you think? Josh Shapiro sued to keep your kids in masks. He sued to keep your business closed down. When you needed him to do his job, he stood against you and in line with the Democrat Party policies of Tom Wolf. When Tom Wolf shut down your businesses, destroyed your cafes, your restaurants, deemed you a non-essential, you notice even all the cabinet shops in Pennsylvania were ordered closed, non-essential, except one in York County called Wolf Industries. Are you kidding me? And what did Shapiro do? That's okay. What did Shapiro do when Levine sent the sick back into homes, killing thousands, leaving you cut off from your loved ones for 400 days, or to die alone? God forbid they have Alzheimer's, dying alone and empty. Josh Shapiro didn't care. He went after the homes and not Levine. Anyone miss Levine? Yeah, I don't either. While that's all going on, Josh Shapiro sued the Little Sisters of the Poor. Are you freaking kidding me? Sorry. Are you kidding me? Freaking's okay? As far as respecting people's religious beliefs, it's been an anomaly in history. We're seeing a time now where it's okay to attack certain faith groups. And that's why I made it clear and known to the media when we won that beautiful primary in May that any reporter who peddles in hate and bigotry against anyone's religion, we won't talk to. And it's a darn, some of them got the message, others just don't quite get it. Yep. It's not okay. We can disagree and have a robust debate, but it should not come to ad hominem attacks because you don't like what I do or don't believe. And I fought just as every veteran. I see some Marine Corps veteran here. We got Army, Navy, Marine, Air Force, maybe a Coast Guardsman or two. What you fought for was to defend your right to believe whatever you wanted to. And that's the idea of William Penn. You come to Pennsylvania, now America, and you live your life as you see fit, and not as a governor or king or magistrate thinks you ought to live. And so we are at a crossroads between the tyranny of Tom Wolf / Josh Shapiro or a new birth of freedom under Governor Mastriano. This is no game for me. Those are some pretty lofty words here, but I mean it. I'm looking as many of you in the eye as I can. We're going to restore freedom to Pennsylvania. My goal is to fulfill the vision and dream that Abraham Lincoln gave in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is writ large in our nation's history. After that horrific battle, Abraham Lincoln came and gave his speech in my district, and no, I wasn't alive then. Not that old. But he talked about our history 7 years ago, 1776. And then he remember our fallen, those who gave the last full measure of devotion. And we remember them. But Lincoln, in his speech, kind of turns a little bit. And he says, okay, now I'm adding this. Rather it is for us. Rather it is for us, the living, to be dedicated to the unfinished work. A republic, if you can keep it, Benjamin Franklin, 1787, Philadelphia. A republic, if you can keep it. Rather it is for us, 1863. Rather it is for us, the living, to be dedicated to the unfinished work. So what happens on 8 November is in our hands. And success and failure hinges upon your decision, your ability to help us, to volunteer, to donate if you can, and don't let it be between donating and eating or paying your bills. No, you take care of yourselves first. Or getting out and vote and having others get out to vote. It's in the hands of Potter County. It's not just on our shoulders, it's on each of our shoulders, because you get to pick your governor. And we choose wisely 8 November. it's going to be a new day in PA. We're going to see a restoration of prosperity and hope across our state, and I believe that will change the course and trajectory of American history. Thank you guys, and God bless you.